In this chapter, we will look into the concepts of classes and objects in Java. So let's first try to define what is an object. So object have states and behaviors. Now, for example, a person has a state. These states can be considered as the different attributes of a person, such as hair color, eye color, creed, skin color, religion, and so on. On the other hand, when we talk about behavior, these are the way a person walks or how a person walks, eating, sleeping, drinking, and so on. An object is an instance of a class. Now, what about a class? A class basically can be defined as a template or blueprint that describes the behavior or state that the object of its type supports. Now, let's try to uh, look deeper into the objects of Java. Um, if we consider the real world, if we consider the real world scenario, we can find many objects around us, such as what I've said, a person, a car. All of these objects have a state and a behavior. If we consider a person, then its state name is name, creed, eye color, height, weight, and so on. On the other hand, the behavior is a walking, talking, crying, sleeping, and so on. If you compare the software object with a real-world object, they have similar characteristics. Software objects also have a state and a behavior. A software object state is stored in the fields and behavior is shown via methods. So, in short, in software development, methods operate on the internal state of an object, and the object to object communication is done via methods. Now, what about classes in Java? A class is a blueprint from which objects are created. Now, we have an example. So I already created a class called personal profile. Okay, so let's try to add okay, string first name, then we have int age, string eye color. Okay. For its methods, or for its so these are the objects state. Okay, first name, age, and eye color. Now for its behavior, maybe we can write something like void walking, void talking. These are its behavior. So again, these are its state, and these are its behavior. Okay. Now, a class can contain any of the following variable types. Okay. So, local variables. So, there's three types of variables that we have to consider when we're talking about um, variable types in Java. So, we have here first local variables. Variables defined inside a method. Okay, so that's the first one. The constructors or blocks are called local variables. The variables is often declared and initialized within the method, and it is actually destroyed when the method has completed its execution. Next is instance variable. Instance variables are variables within a class but outside any method. Okay. Then last, we have class variables. Class variables are variables declared within a class outside any method with the static keyword. Okay, so we'll try to look at it later as we go along. The next is we have here constructors. So what are constructors? So when we're discussing about class, of course, we cannot do away with constructors. One of the most important subtopic, of course, would be constructors. Every class has a constructor. Okay, but the thing about it is that it's differently initiated or differently constructed based on the language. Okay, so uh, it depends upon what language you're going to use. So let's say, for example, in PHP, instead of trying to write uh, the class name, we normally would do it this way: public function, then construct. Okay, but it's still a constructor. Now, each time a new object is created, at least one constructor will be invoked. So this means basically that we could try to trigger several, or we could invoke several constructors. The main role of constructor is that they should have the same name as the class. Okay, that's the main rule. So, like for example, this one, if we want to make a constructor for our personal profile, we can do so by doing something like public personal profile. Okay, so this is already our constructor. What if, let's say, for example, we wanted to add a variable? Okay, we can do so by adding public personal profile. Okay, string first name. Okay, we can also do that. So as what I've said, a class can have more than one constructor. Now, Java also supports singleton classes, where you would be able to create only one instance of class. Okay, so this time let's try to create an object. So let's first try to define what is an object. As mentioned a while ago, an object or a class provides a blueprint for objects. So basically, an object is created from a class. Now in Java, the new keyword is used to create a new object. So let's go back here to our main Java. Okay, so in order for you to create an object, we can do something like personal profile, then object is equals to new personal profile. Okay, so we can do something like that in Java. Okay, so this one is actually following this statement would create an object called obj. Okay, so that's how you would create an object in Java. So so we have here our constructor. Then this is how you would create an object in Java. If we compile, okay, so let's try to add also the values here. Okay, maybe we can put so as you've noticed, we have here first name, so that's the name of our variable. Okay, so let's try to call here Michael. Okay, let's try to go back to our personal profile. Stem that out, that println my name is first name. Okay, then this time let's try to run. So let's try to build first. Click build, then build project. It's still currently building. Okay, so next is we can actually click this button to run, or press shift F10. Okay, so let's try to run this time. So my name is Michael. That is actually the output. Accessing instance variables and methods are now these are accessed via created object. Now to access an instance variables, following is the fully qualified path. So let's say for example, uh, okay, let's try to create something like this one. Okay, so already have here system.out.println. Okay, so try to erase this part. Public void set age. These are actually its setter and getter. Okay, so in order for us to access the variables, okay, int age, then age equals to, okay, let's try to change this part. Let's try to call this one as person age. Okay. Public int get age. Person age, return, person age. Okay, so let's try to go back to our main.java. Okay, so let's try to do something like, so we already have here our object for, we also added here Michael for our first name. Okay, so to call this one obj dot set age. Okay, so let's try to assume that Michael is 25 years old. Okay, so okay, let me just try to put comments on our work. So this one, object creation, call class method to set age, call another method to get age. Okay, so obj dot get age, then okay, access instance variables. Okay, have it like that. System.out.println age is obj dot person age. Okay, let's try to run this time. So we have here build project. Let's try to run. Okay, so my age is 25. Age is 25. Okay, so we'll have this following output. The first output, by the way, is we have this one, obj.getAge. So this is where it's displayed. Okay, because we called the method getAge. So in order for us to display also the value entered on a person age, okay, So we basically we basically use the object created then the variable name. That's how you would normally create, and that's actually the most basic way of trying to write objects and also a little bit of classes in Java.